dinner, or you're having dinner, or you're having an afternoon or an evening little bevy, and you're popping on your Facebook. We didn't tell you we were coming on tonight, but again, surprise. Good evening to you, Johnny. How are you, my friend? Been down the club? I understand.
Yep, just come back from the Noosa Tigers and just doing a bit of business down there. And
Business.
you're now looking at the new platinum sponsor for the Noosa Tigers.
Wow, very good. Well done, mate. Excellent. Nice to hear. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
by
cheers.
business, you mean just drinking piss, talking shit?
Pretty much. That's how business gets done.
That's the best business you can ever get done. No, that is the best business. Well done. Very nice to hear.
Cheers.
Hopefully some people join us tonight, again with a little bit of an impromptu surprise. I had a couple of things on this week. I went actually to see Barack Obama last night, believe it or not.
How's he doing? All right?
$400 for 40 minutes.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
He'd want to be inspirational.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, no.
I'll give you a TV on the way out.
And he's a freaking Collingwood supporter too.
What?
So I walked out after I heard that.
$400 for 4 seconds.
Yeah. The welcome to country was longer than his speech. You think I'm joking about that? Rob Fisher, good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in, Rob. Andrew Lake, a very special person in our lives and a very special friend. Thank you very much for tuning in, Andrew. I've just been chatting to Andrew in our little group chat we have going that's Johnny doesn't know about. Well, excluded Johnny. It's been going for a while. Thank you for joining us. Whoever's joining us, thank you very much. It is Thursday night. The teams are out. Lots to talk about. And hopefully we can get a lot of engagement tonight. Who's coming else on? Chris Sprider. G'day, Chris. Looking fresh. Jeez. Must be the lighting, I think. Or on my new moisturiser. Either one. Or it might be just the fresh joy and afterglow of success. Could be it. Kate Wall, good evening to you from New Zealand. Hope you're having some fish and chips over there.
Awesome Slim Jims and delicious biscuit with a thumbada filling.
And your flip flops at the chili bin and the quiche flow card. Are we being racist or stereotyping? Yeah, no. Sorry, Kate. Stick with us. We'll try and do better. Robert Stanley, g'day, Robert. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone tuning in, and hopefully we've just popped up on your screen for a bit of a chat, as opposed to our usual Tuesday night show. All right, you're an Aussie. Good on you, Kate. That's the way. I figured as much, or I hoped as much. We covered a lot last week, Johnny, before the Geelong game and after the Richmond game. We covered some concerns and we covered some things that we thought were good. And I think we were justified in a lot of the conversations that we had. Do you think any of those questions we asked last week of ourselves and our audience were answered?
Well, first of all, to the audience, come back on and give us your told you so's for those people who are staying extremely positive and saying that we're going to knock off Geelong. So I hope you're on tonight. Come on in and say, told you so, told you so, told you so, because I absolutely love it. I think we had an extremely good game against Geelong. Have we answered any of the questions? Certainly our run through the midfield on the MCG was just exceptional. And we didn't see that against Richmond, and we really wondered how we were going to score and how we were going to take it up to Geelong. We answered that question. We answered the question is, can we survive in close games? Now, they came at us hard in that last quarter. They came at us hard in the second quarter. The second quarter I'll talk in a little bit. But I think we answered that question. We can stand up, and we played that last quarter very, very well. We're out on our feet. So were they. They kept grinding, and we kept pushing back. It was fantastic.
Okay. Well, I'll answer my own question since you danced around it a little bit.
Because I've forgotten what we said.
And I wasn't going to say that, but you're getting on in years, and you're probably a chronic alcoholic. But that's another. That's our Friday night show. My question was: is the game style of concern? We had some sample size practice matches against the Filth and the Swans, and we looked quite a bit different from what I was expecting our game style to be, and halfback wing style of play, not too paced. And then Richmond, we looked pretty much similar. I think the Geelong game answered a lot of questions, and I think that those practice matches were probably deliberately designed to play that way, and to probably play that slower tempo style of play, which we did play on occasion against Geelong when we needed. But it did answer the question, and that is we're still got it in us and still in our game style to take the game on and do what we need to do through the guts, play at a hot pace when needed, and move the ball with our assets. So that answered my question and my concerns. What it also told me is that we've got Plan B, and I think it came out in some of the commentary from the boys and the coach that they're understanding the need to change tempo and change in the game. The need to either slow it down or adjust when things aren't going their way, get more defensive, and then just strike like a cobra. So
like a tiger,
like a tiger,
like a
double cobra. So that answered that question. So I'm very happy. I'm also happy we won. Because does that make us the premiership favourite now since we beat the last premiers?
Well, it sort of doesn't run like that, but yeah, hey, I'll go with it. But the amount of confidence that will give the lads, right through the coaching staff, everyone, that we can hold on to a close game. Because the last 4 games that we played, we didn't win a close game, and we've managed to do it against the reigning premier, who they hit us hard in that last quarter. So it's absolute, it's kudos to the club, kudos to all the coaches. We got one, and the confidence will just skyrocket from there. That's our base camp now. Is when it's in close quarters again, when the game's close, just go back to that Geelong game. All right, what did we do there? What worked there? What didn't work there?
You're right, 100%. And Robert Stanley, who I recall from the previous week, was extremely enlightening with his commentary. A good one tonight. And premiership role. It wasn't like we had our bottom 6 against like Richmond, which were down. We had everyone covered, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's just me, but I think you just faded out there, mate. So I'm not quite sure what you said there. But yes, Darren, get into it. Yes, told us we would win. Roberts told us we would win. Yes, get into it. Get into us.
Robert's gonna take over my job on the show. I think he's obviously way more funnier and way more insightful than me. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on this Thursday night. Really appreciate it. Robert Stanley, Darren Familio.
Yeah, looks like Trev's gone again. We might have to. I might have to take the reins here a little bit, which is a little bit concerning.
Andrew Lake, I'm sure. Where did he come up? Oh, I think I've lost it. No,
Yeah, we've lost you again, Trev.
freaking internet. No, we're gone. Am I gone, Donny?
I've got you back now in terms of voice, but not in terms of picture. And now he's gone. All right.
I'm back again. I'm
Quick
back. I'm back.
restart.
I'm back. I'm back.
Back in the New York. All
I'm
right.
back. I'm back.
Go again.
Um,
3, 2, 1.
Now I'm totally lost. Everyone's getting as it was just a little bit of a minor glitch, I think, that one, Johnny. We're back.
All right.
So, Andrew Lake, thank you very much. Ed's value underlined with the job he did on Cam Guthrie. Perhaps Guthrie should have asked for his jumper to hang up next to Judd's. That's very funny. Ed butchered a little bit, but he did bring that energy, didn't he? He did bring that that role play again that we may have missed, and he didn't sort of necessarily play against the Tigers. Whether he continued to do that during the whole year, we'll wait and see. But I'd probably written off Ed. It was a great role he played. He actually killed Cam Guthrie, and Dangerfield had really not much impact. The midfield really got on top of theirs. Hopefully, we're still with everyone. Robert.
Yeah, Trev's gone again. This is going absolutely beautifully.
I might change internet connection.
Can you hear us, Trev?
That works. Hang 5, everyone.
Now, Darren, you mentioned Hewitt was back in. That's great news. Does anyone know what the situation was with Kennedy? And what do you think of that? Do you think that's like for like? Hewitt coming back in for Kennedy is a good thing. Could we do with both of them and their big bodies? What's your thoughts? I pretty much think Lockie O'Brien is absolutely a certainty to be the designated sub for the rest of the year. The poor bugger. But yeah, it's a calf injury. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't kept up much of the news this week. It's been a horribly busy week. So thank you all for that. I'm just going to run through. Let's get out of his chili bin. Brilliant. I'm just going to run through a couple of things that I really liked about the game on Thursday night. And in particular, that second quarter, you could just see the same old happening again, that Geelong were just destroying us through the midfield. And they should have piled on a lot more score than what they did in that second quarter. And we've finally got what we wanted, I think, in that second quarter, is that we just said enough's enough. And if you cast your minds back, there was that 30-second, 40-second just scrum in the middle of the ground, and we just weren't going to lose it. We just threw everything and everybody in there on that pack and just squeezed the ball out, really scrum style, and we got it out the front of the pack, and we managed to get into our forward line. I think it resulted in a goal or a point, but the result was great, but as not as significant as what it was to actually win that contest, because we stopped them in their tracks, and we were able to get the game back on our terms again. It's everything that I've been hoping for, is to someone to stand up and say, right, enough's enough. Let's go for it. Let's stop these guys and let's get the game back to us. Let's swing the momentum. I think we did a wonderful job in that second quarter. I think that set us up for the rest of the game. That the second half of that second quarter was just phenomenal football to watch, and it's all based on that scrum, I think. What are your thoughts? Now, another thing that I noticed, I might be talking to myself here. I might even be offline. Another thing that I noticed, and this is, it might be a reigning premier thing, but how long has Geelong got to give the ball back once a free kick or a mark has been given against them? They seem to have an eternity. For any other team, it's just immediate 50 metres for not giving the ball back or so forth. I think that they play by different rules there. So I'm not sure if I'm still on. I'm not getting much feedback here. If anyone can give me a shout, hi. Trev seems like he's gone. No, I'm not offline. Hear you and see you. That's good. All right, Trev's back again. Theoretically.
I'm good. Changed internet connection, so I'm good. I'll do that next time. Sorry, everyone. And that was a good show. Well done.
All right, good night. So what I just presented to the audience, and I want to get your feedback on this as well, is the second quarter. I thought Trev really set us up in terms of they come out of the blocks in that second quarter and they owned us in the middle of the ground. They really did, and it looked like the same old. That we're just going to get blasted out of the water here. It's going to be 6-7 goals, and we're going to be playing catch up. And then there was that moment in the middle of the ground where it was 30, 40 seconds, almost like a scrum, and we weren't going to lose it. We threw everything at it to just win that contest and get the game back in our terms. And I think that was the turning point of the game, and the reason that we won that game is that point.
Yeah, I remember it distinctly. And, there's probably half a dozen moments in that last quarter, in that last 5 minutes that just really showed that the will that they have to win is there. Ollie Holland's going in front of Cameron, for instance, and that's been well recognised.
That was the same week before that he did that against Rewalt.
Yep. And that shows he's in the side over a guy like Dow and O'Brien potentially. He's got that first gig, so that and the amount of run he's doing, it's amazing. Whether he can keep that up remains to be seen. But second game player, amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, he cemented that spot, and like you said, he's the first pick now. Charlie's long bomb in the second ignited us. Yeah. Again, off the back of that great work in the middle, and we started to get it on our own terms again.
Yep. So back to my original statement, I suppose when I started my opening monologue, we've got the seemingly adapted game style from last year. We've got a few key ingredients into the squad, which is Akers, who had a pretty solid game on the weekend too, and he deserves to be credited for his game.
Yeah, I'll stick my hand up there because I gave him a fair roast after the Richmond game, but he gave himself a fair roast after the Richmond game. What he came back with the Geelong game was really, really good.
Yep. So what we're now faced with potentially is a Carlton side that, again, can match any side. We're talking about the Premiers. We've matched them. So there's no excuses. It comes down to, which is probably the same for the other 19 teams or however many there are. It comes to application on the day and mindset and a 4-quarter performance from 22 blokes. Now, that might sound very, very simplistic, but, there's other teams out there that aren't going to do that because they haven't got the personnel. They're not in that space. We are in that space. We have got the personnel, and it's every game is an opportunity to win if we go in with that same attitude.
Yeah.
There's nothing we need to There's nothing we need to be concerned about. Everyone's going to shit themselves. Whitfield and Kelly are back in this week. We're playing GWS up in Sydney. We shouldn't be concerned like that. We were concerned last year. We did lose some games. We shouldn't be concerned anymore. What we should be doing is now accepting that we're in a good spot. My concerns, especially regarding the game plan, have been allayed. So it's now okay. Which Carlton? If it's that consistency that we've been craving from last year to this, then that's where we sit. It's that consistency.
Yeah. Well, I need to see a few more games before I'm convinced. I think I'm still so got PTSD from the end of last season that let's just see, shall we? We're every chance to lose against North Melbourne because we take the foot off the pedal, and they just run all over the top of us. So let's see how we go.
It will be the difference in maturity. It's maturity now, isn't it? It's maturity.
Yeah.
And we're another year mature. We've got some other assets into the side. We've got some other weapons into the side. Hollands and Cowan, I wouldn't expect to play each year. Lewis Young, what an outstanding performance he had on the weekend. He's grown a mile.
That's Nick Austin. What a fantastic bloody pick that was. What was it? A future third or something, wasn't it?
Yep.
And you've got a key defender for the next 10 years that every other club would be just jealous of.
100%. We've got Nick Newman in the side that's so underrated and it was so consistent. That's getting back to where we know he can be as a pretty solid defender.
I just got a funny thought about that because I watched the replay. I didn't pick this up the first time, but their small forward, I can't remember his name. He got cleaned up, and the umpire didn't see it. He's complaining to the umpire, and Nick Newman's just in the background giving him that death stare, and it's all of a sudden, no, clean him up now.
That was funny. Good point. Good.
He's so underrated.
Great point by Darren, and you're right. It's great to see him taking marks again. He did put the intercept marks, back in the rack last year a little bit towards the end of the year, and I think he spilled a few and lost confidence. But he's just got to go to him. He's a confidence player. He sticks those marks. He sticks them. He went. Let's do it. Let's take him on. We know he can do it, and we know what he's capable of. We know he can get the fist when he needs to, but it's a confidence thing for him. And he had a blinder on Thursday night.
Yeah. Look, another thing that I picked up in watching the replay, and I gave Stengel, thank you, Debbie. I gave this bloke an absolute roast after round one. Probably more so, I gave the selection team a roast after round one. And I come away thinking on Thursday night, he was just okay. And that's Mitch McGovern. I watched the replay, and the amount of times that he just got a fist in, he just got his body in the right position, outbodied them. He probably had bugger all stats and probably saved a half a dozen goals.
And I thought he was, other than his clangers, against, he was good against Richmond too. But another confidence player, another player that's playing, well, he's not another player that's playing for his career. He is playing for his career at Carlton. I think he probably knows that he hasn't given or brought to the table what was expected of him or what thought of him. But we saw, I suppose, round one last year when he killed him, what he's capable of. And it's back to his body, isn't it? Back to his body.
Yep. Now, I just want to go back to what you said about our two wingers and why they're pretty much locks now, is because what we haven't had for a long time is wingers who can run through the midfield and stick their head over the ball, which I saw repeatedly from both of them on Thursday night. Just when it needed to be done, they just got in and did it. Forget the role that I'm playing. My job now is to make sure that we get the ball here.
Yeah, you're right, and not only that, we've got wingers that probably will. We know that can run both ways too. Akers was
Mm,
very good defensively.
yeah.
Obviously, Hollands was super defensive as well. We know what, and obviously super fit to get to those defensive contests. And we thought that, well, we knew that was a weak link. Carlton supporters knew it. Carlton knew it, and we've gone out deliberately to fix that element of our list. And with the exception of probably our half back line, our half forward line that's not settled. Um, this is a pretty solid lineup that you would expect to hopefully be consistent every week.
That's it. Yeah, that's a great point. Have we finally got the mix of players right? Now, I've been going on for about 20 years about having two rucks, and that just worked its ass off last week against Geelong.
Hmm.
Have we got the mix of players right?
I think Pitnet's clearly underdone in terms of fitness. He was loping around like a big galoot at some stage there, but he'll get better. And again, he doesn't need to have to spend every waking moment on the park. He's got training to do that, but he will get better. The sub rule, like I said early in the year, is perfect for us because we have got that flexibility then with those two rucks to swap them out or to keep them on there or whatever we need to do. But it is the right mix. It is the right mix. They worked really well together early last year, and I think we probably forget that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to go. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're right.
I just want to talk about Pitnet as well because I picked this up in the replay as well. That his ability, like I've mentioned on a few occasions, his ability to stand in the right spot defensively and just put a tap in, put a fist in. Basically, you've got to kick around him. You can't kick into him because he'll fill that spot and he'll fill it admirably, and he'll give a fist away or he'll just bring it to the front of the pack. Again, things that stats you won't see on the stat sheet that I saw it time and time again with the game. And like you said, he's a little underdone. He will get better, and watch out when he does. But also on the boundary lines, he was the body that we needed the week before against Richmond on those boundary throw-ins. He was getting in front. He was muscling his way through it. He was exactly what we needed. And I noticed as well. Sorry, mate, I'm going on a bit here because I'm a big fan of this two ruck system. But you heard BT just going on and on and on and on and on and on about how good Hawkins was in the grand final, about his ruck work in the forward line. And then straight after he said that, Pitnet's got goal side of him and pushed his body into Hawkins and got the tap quite convincingly down to one of our rovers, and we were off. It's that sort of stuff that probably goes a little bit unnoticed that I noticed, and I thought was, without that, we would have been significantly worse off, I think.
I think so. I think we missed Durden against Richmond. He would have been a beautiful inclusion up there to just mix up the forward line energy a bit and create some stuff out of nothing, especially since Fisher was down. Martin was obviously down against Richmond. So I think Durden was a really good inclusion. He's in our best 22. He's got so much energy and can create something out of nothing. Him and Owies do really combine well together. I must say that. A lot of people talking about Jack Martin.
Gone.
And yeah.
We're sponsoring a reserves player, mate.
Yeah. And I just paid the 2.5 G's yesterday too, so that was good timing. I should have said, is it too late to bring in Ollie Hollands? But no. Look, we'll always stick with our man. It's just a real shame. It's a shame. It's a real shame. But he shouldn't have been picked against Richmond. I think that's pretty clear. Calf week back in the twos. Calf just doesn't work. Carlton are very notorious for that. clearly he was underdone against Richmond. And I think a couple of other people have said too, they'd probably rather Honey or Cunningham even. Cunningham and Martin are probably in the same conversation right now, but yeah, he's one that half forward spot's up for grabs. And you know who I'd like to see in that half forward spot if he keeps this role?
Yeah, go on.
Well, it's Ed Curnow. We've probably talked about his Ed Parston. Is he going to get a game? He's proved everyone wrong. He's playing with super energy. He's knowing that this is his last year. He's got a chance to play with his brother. 2 years ago when Charlie was injured and Ed was running around killing himself, they wouldn't have dreamed of this scenario. They're in brother football heaven right now. So, we talked about, is there a role for Ed? The role for Ed is not midfield, because we know we've got plenty in that space. But why not a defending half forward? We know he can kick goals. We know he's got energy. We know he can tag if we need to. We know half forward's not necessarily our go-to position, the way we structure up and the way we deliver. So, why not have him as a defensive half forward and have him pinch hit where we need to, as anything really, or as even a tagger. So, I see Ed Curnow taking on that role.
Yeah, okay. This follows on perfectly from a conversation that I've just had down the Noosa Tigers Footy Club. Who's going to stop Nick Davis? Nick Dacos. Perfect.
Well, if there's anyone that can do it, Ed's probably already starting to think in the back of his mind, this little young whippersnapper's mind for the taking. And I hope he's thinking like that. Good on him. I hope he's thinking a little bit far ahead. And what a challenge it would be to see if he can do that. And when do we play the Filth? A couple of months. I bet he's got his sights set on it.
Yeah. Also a great one for Whitfield. If he's still going to play his role off halfback, he may not, given they've been decimated in the midfield over the off-season. He may see himself in it. But another one for Ed's sights, I would think, for this week.
Yep. And going back to a little bit of half forward and wing role, what I liked, and obviously what pretty much saved our bacon in the last quarter, was Harry coming up high onto that wing and just taking those clunks. And, he wasn't getting near it. Unfortunately, he was getting towed. So to go and take on that initiative to get up the ground, I don't know whether it was him or someone from the coaching department said, get up the ground and get a bit of ball, just makes perfect sense. Makes absolutely perfect sense. We've got others to cover him up there. So when those half forwards aren't doing their job necessarily up the ground and taking those connective marks, Harry really showed a bit of initiative to do that, and saved our bacon.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And someone who's a bit more astute at football than I am noticed for the whole game that Harry sacrificed his game quite a fair bit for Charlie.
That's exactly right, and it's good that they can do that. When one's down, you can't stop both. I think we probably realised that you can't stop both, and Harry's the perfect foil. Harry is the perfect foil, and I haven't seen Cripps go forward too much this year, which he did early stages last year. But there's other guys filling in those gaps as well when we need to. But even Harry, even just Charlie, kicking 5 on his own, and the other smaller forwards kicking in with a couple in the mids. It's a good result.
Self-presenting, being able to be that third, fourth tall. That was the only thing that I've ever agreed Brian Taylor on. He mentioned that in the commentary, that Sauce is freed up now to be able to be really, really damaging.
Yep. Darren Familio, Ricky Spencer, Debbie O'Connor. Who else have we got? Brendan Whitford, Peter Farhos, Robert Stanley. Who else? Luigi Foligno. Who else have we got tonight? Gary Woodchurch. Thanks all you guys and girls for joining us. We very much appreciate it. Your contribution to the show is the show, and is also smart and insightful as well. That makes us look really makes us look smart too. I suppose you guys make it. Tony Emily, g'day, buddy. Really appreciate you joining in. Let's catch up soon, mate. It'd be really nice to say g'day and have a beer. Let's work something out, mate. Thanks for joining in. Brendan Whitford, love to catch up with you too. I've got a bit of time on my hands at the moment. Let's do some stuff. Let's have a couple of beers. Ricky Spencer was very kind enough to invite me up to his couch for the game. He's got a corporate box there, so if anyone else wants to come up, Ricky's got a house available and he's got a corporate box. He'll make you dinner. So anyone wants to do that, just send me a private message and I'll pass you on Ricky's personal mobile number. I'm sure he won't mind about that. What's going on? So let's move on, I suppose. Let's not move on. Let's hear from you guys about your top 4 players for last week, and then we will move on to the game against GWS this week. So, look, it was hard to go past Lewis Young for me. Solid. I think Akers is probably in there as well. Loved Ed's game, Sard's game. And I'm gonna put Ollie Hollands in there too. So that's my best. Did I say Akers? I'm not sure if I said Akers too, but maybe that's 5. So that were my top 4 or 5 on the weekend. Luigi says 3 Akers, 2 Sard, 1 Charlie. Hard to miss Charlie out for 5 goals, wasn't it? They just seemed to just come out of nowhere, didn't they? But influential wise, yes, probably did what we need to him up forward. But interesting to hear him getting a vote. Robert Stanley says Ed, Lewis Young, Kennedy, Akers. Very hard to pick a top 4. That's exactly what you want, isn't it?
And they're the games that we win. We saw that last season. They're the games that we win, where you can't pick a top 4.
Mm-hmm. Robert Stanley hit it on the head earlier on. We are a team of role players, and role players win more games than they lose, and they sacrifice their games. And it's not all about getting stats. We have got a group of role players, I think, and we executed those roles perfectly on Thursday night. Give us your top 4, buddy, while I go over the other guests' votes. Ollie Hollands, Mr. Everywhere. It'd be interesting to see when Cripps, when Walshy gets back, who can get the bigger heat map. That's going to be. I bet there's a bit of competition there.
Put the 2 heat maps together, and the whole oval will be red.
Well, if you remember, Walshy did an interesting heat map last year, so we'll see what they can come up with together when they work well together. That's if Walshy gets a game again. He might struggle to get back in.
Oh, you'd have Walsh straight in for Fisher at the moment, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, you did probably. Yeah, that's probably one you did look at.
Yeah.
Cripps played the Hewitt role against Geelong. That's a very good point. He was solid, Cripper. He wasn't flashy. He was really, really solid. It wasn't a standout here, standout time there. It was very, very consistent. Sard magnificent every week. You're right. He's on fire.
Oh, not the first week. I wasn't impressed with Sard's game the first week, but I thought that was more coaching than it was actually Sard's performance. But look, he was my 3 votes on the weekend against Geelong.
Yep.
I'm going to give Pitnet 2, just because it just reinforces that point of how fucking important this is to the team.
Yep.
And then you've got to give 1 to Charlie, because he was just. I had another very astute footballer talk to me during the night at the club. Great footballer in his own right, and he said when someone's on, you give it to them. That's what Charlie was. He was completely on.
Yep, a very good comment. Okay, so let's move on to this week up in Sydney. A few showers available Saturday. I think, what do we play, 4:30 or something in the afternoon?
3:30 Brisbane time.
3:30 Brisbane time. Kennedy out, injured, calf. Someone else said before calf week, calf back, something else. But yeah, that's
Andrew
disappointing.
Russell's seen more calves than the Chichura Milk Factory.
I was waiting for it. I'll let you have that one. Good job.
Cheers
King
to
Charles.
Chichura Milk. The wonderful workers up there.
Yes, we should refer him to as King Charles. Yes, we should. You're right. So we lose Kennedy, which is disappointing because he's versatile. I think he's more versatile than Hewitt. Probably Kennedy was another one who saved our bacon a few times in that game last Thursday by a couple of clunks, a couple of really strong inside moments, and he's defensive as well. So disappointed, but what do you do? Hewitt is back, and that's a well and truly worthy contender to come back into the side. We know what he's capable of doing, and GWS have got Kennedy back, and they've got Whitfield back and Kelly. Two A graders, let's be honest, and that's always going to happen against Carlton. They're going to bring back their A graders. How do you see this?
They're underdone, man.
Well, that's a point. How do you see this game playing out? I suppose one of the obvious questions that I'm sure other people will ask is who goes to Toby Green, and I'd like to hear the audience's thoughts on that.
Edward,
okay, really. I'm thinking the Moo. I'm thinking just chuck Moo on him straight away, Cowan, and just let him have a crack, and then after he kicks 5, then put someone on him. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Wouldn't that be brilliant if Voss said, "Look, you've got this job," and he set him up all week for it at the start of the week, and said, "You know what? You've got." Maybe that's a bad thing. You probably should tell him at the last minute so he doesn't shit himself all week. But wouldn't that be awesome if you put the kid back onto Toby Green and give him a first crack at him?
Plowman has a good record on him, doesn't he?
He does. But Mr. Plough is probably going to be kicking the dew for a little while for the rest of this year, I'd say.
Yeah, look, the Moo, let's go with him. Yeah.
Been a while since we set out a side with the next giant in the lineup. That's a good point, Andrew. We can always rely on you for these excellent points of information. Marchbank won't be playing. Plowman won't be playing. Who else? Other ex-Giants have we got on our list right now? I can't think of any other ones that are on our list right now. But in the past, we've had a couple.
Setterfield's gone and cutting it up with Essendon.
Yeah, so he's played one good game and Essendon and he's going to win the Brownlow. So heads up, Essendon fans, don't get too excited.
There has to be one, surely.
Has to be one what?
GWS player, or at least academy or something.
No, I think that could be only two that we've got on our list right now.
That's really the end of the Silvani era, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Look, they'll probably put. I think it'd be a waste to put Sard on him because Sard's too attacking. We're going to have a lockdown role on Green. He's one of our main dangers. I think we've got them covered in our forward line. They've got a really good young defender there, but I think we've got them covered if we can get it down there. Like for like, you'd have to say our midfield's probably on top of theirs right now. It's interesting that they lost against West Coast over there. Something's they're obviously a new team with a new. Sorry, they're coached by a new team. So yeah, I think Newman will get the first crack at Toby Green. He's too solid, and that's what his role is. Let Doc and Sard run off.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
So I think we cover them. I think we cover them. Hey,
get the death stare going.
yeah. So I think we cover them in quite a few areas, and I did watch a bit of their game, and their ball movement was actually pretty horrible. And the whole game, I suppose that whole game, West Coast GWS was pretty horrible. Same old, mate. We play 4 quarters and we have our role done. Then we get it done.
Yep, fair call.
Zach Williams, Matthew Kennedy, Plowman, Caleb Martsevic. So I missed 2. Kennedy, of course he was a GWS player. Could Plow be the sub? No, he could not be because he's not even in the side. I think they've put O'Brien as the sub again.
It's anyone from emergency? So is Plowman an emergency?
Good question. Someone else could tell me that. Someone indicated to me that Dow might should potentially come in, and we shouldn't have O'Brien as a sub every week, and maybe just give him some footy and rotate the subs if they're sort of similar like-for-like players. What do you think about that?
Yeah, fair call.
Obviously, Dow played an okay game in the twos. It's probably a step down. O'Brien, I'm sure, wants to play that sub role. Obviously, we get injury, he gets more of an opportunity, so it's a bit of a balance. Not too sure. If I'm O'Brien, I'd rather probably sit on the pine being the sub anyway. Dow is an emergency, apparently. I haven't seen the emergencies, so who else is an emergency? Plow is an emergency, is that right? I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. Give Dow a chance to inject some speed late in the game. Well, it's not like Lockie O'Brien isn't devoid of speed, and his left foot is quite lethal when it's on. It's actually pretty on at the moment, so I like him actually being the sub. Just whether they want to try and flick it out. Were you happy with
Dow, Obi, and Honey are the emergencies?
Okay, fair enough. So one of those will get the run. It won't be Plow. Let's be honest. I don't see. Well,
unless he's there as a sub. If Green gets hold of us,
maybe they've got that in the back of their mind too, because of he's done the role. He's done the role previously. Good call, Johnny. What I was going to say, I think. I wanted to take you back just quickly to the Geelong game and Silvani coming off. Was that the right call to swap out at that particular time?
I think so. Yeah. Well, it bloody worked, didn't it?
It did work. Yeah, I think it was the perfect time. We weren't going to. Harry was coming up the ground, playing that high half forward role, clunking them. He's obviously got better strength in that area than Silvani. Sauce. When the heat's on the game, a fresh runner like O'Brien was a good result. So I think that was a really good sub choice, even if Silvani didn't think so.
Yeah, no, I thought he accepted it well. He looked very animated on the pine, but I think he was more trying to help the coaches out and say, well, this is what's actually happening. And he was just extremely, Ernest is extremely focused on that. That's what I got out of it. Interesting to see what everyone else thought, but that was my thoughts on the scenario.
This is a good one from Ricky Spencer. He says, doubt is the emergency for Hewitt won't play if he's okay. So maybe Hewitt's still sort of touch and go with that hand. That might happen too. That makes perfect sense. If Hewitt's a bit shaky.
Yeah, that'd be handy.
You're right, Brendan. He did accept it a lot better than Dyson Heppel. Poor old Dyson Heppel's thinking, what, sub? What was that Gold Coast phone number again? Silvani is a competitor. He wanted to be part of that win in the fourth. Sauce is in my best 22. I don't think that's an issue. He'll be right. He might be subbed off here and there, but I think he's in my best 22. He's too smart. He made some really good decisions in that Geelong game that set up goals for us. He's a very he's a good role player in our lineup, I think. All right, so Johnny, you watching it up the Noosa Tigers again this week, mate? You put your second home I know you just got a new home, but you haven't been in. You've probably been down the Tigers more than you've been in your new home.
I've got a new home.
You have a new home, yes. You have a new home.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, look, it's unfortunately away the first game of the Tigers this weekend, so it'll be
Okay, you'll have to
Tigers. I'll
stay
watch
home.
that a little bit till about half time, and then watch the Blues.
Very nice, very nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will wrap it up very shortly. Please give us your prediction for the game, how much we will win by. Discussing this with another few Carlton, and I don't know if this will be the week, but geez, I'd love us just to put the foot down and just have a really, really strong, heavy win and inflict a really bad body blow on a team. We shouldn't say that when we just want to win games, Carlton supporters, but geez, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be really nice?
Yeah, look at. Given that GWS lost to West Coast, and they come home with a wet sail against Adelaide, who arguably not that much chop either. I'm really concerned about that whole football club, about that whole sustainability of keeping a team there. Kelly and Whitfield are awesome inclusions for them, but not if they're underdone. If they can't run out the 4 quarters, then we're showing we have the ability to. Look, I've got us by 54 points. I reckon we'll get hold of them. Wow.
According to my good friend Ricky, they're actually paying people to go to the game, pretty much, just about. There's a real lack of interest in the Giants at the moment. And clearly those Sydney supporters are just front-running bum-sniffing lovers, but that bum-sniffing game lovers. But, hopefully our presence in Sydney will be strong, and we know we've got a big presence around the country, so hopefully the Blues that don't get to see us very often that live in Sydney will go in some big numbers and get behind us because, I'm not sure which player mentioned it this week, but they really noticed the presence of the supporters against Geelong. So hopefully there's a lot of baggers get up to Sydney.
Yeah. Look, the New South Wales supporter group is as strong as any state in the country. They're probably not as vocal, but they're extremely strong. I reckon they will just outnumber the GWS supporters, who I think got 9,000 people to their first game with 30,000 members. That shows you how well they're going.
And if you're the team, that doesn't give you a lot of incentive to have a crack, does it?
Nah.
When you're playing just for your mum and dad. Sorry, everyone. Ricky Spencer says the corporate box. The corporate box is now full. That's a bit of a bugger, Ricky. That's okay. We'll get you up there next time. Luigi says Blues by 60 points. Peter Vlahos says Blues by 30. Robert Stanley says Blues by the Cuda. Brendan Whitford's just happy with a win. Debbie O'Connor, don't do that to me, please. A draw.
Come on, Deb. Give me something.
Rob says Blues by 24. That's a good result. And Darren says Blues by 38. Just a quick little anecdote from my experience last week watching the game. I think I mentioned I was going to watch it with an old guy that I'm sort of doing some stuff with. He's a Geelong supporter. He's about 87 or whatever he is. So he hasn't had a drink in 6 months because he's had a bit of a foot injury. So I rock up and he's handed me a Crown Lager. He's got his Geelong gear on. You can imagine an 86-year-old's house. It's very nicely presented and old school. His wife's got some chips next to the
brilliant
ready to go. He's just in heaven. We turn on the TV and it looks like a nice new TV, but it's not high definition. So I'm in hell watching the game, not in high def. And so we had a little wager of a slab. and I picked that up today. Given his memory's not that flash, I was a bit worried about getting my slab, but he pulled through with a nice box of crownies for me, so that was nice.
You actually took them.
Fucking oath. Fucking oath. A bet's a bet, mate. A bet's a bet.
At least give him 12 back and say, mate, have a...
Well, I did. Well, I offered to say, look, keep them in your fridge. We'll come around and drink them at some stage. But he said, no, bet's a bet.
Fair enough.
So I did. But he wanted to give me $50 after the game. I said, fuck that. No, the bet was a slab, Johnny. Let's go, mate. I want this. You've got to buy me a slab. So true to his word, I rocked up there today and had a nice box of crownies, which is nice.
Brilliant.
Rob, there's a few left, actually. There's 24 of them. So I haven't even cracked one yet, but I'll find someone to have a crack with. But yeah, it was really beautiful. As I said, the chips. His wife left us in her sewing room, and he was, old school, blaming the umpire for everything. And so it's pretty cool.
Excellent. Well done.
And that's because he couldn't see the goddamn screen because of the bloody high def too. Anyway, that's my little feel good story for the night.
Brilliant. Good on you, mate. Well done.
Thank you, everyone, for joining our little impromptu unpromoted show tonight. Thank you very much. It's been awesome. Really appreciate everyone's contribution. It's pretty cool to do Thursday nights. I'm not sure what everyone prefers. What do you like, Johnny? Tuesday, Thursday, whatever?
Probably Tuesday, because it gives you a nice reflection of the game and it gets pretty heated, the debate and so forth. I don't really care.
Yep, that's a good point.
What about you, mate?
No, these crownies will go towards
your prediction yet, mate?
Oh, thank you. I think we will win by 41 points.
Specific. Casbolt.
Levi. Double Cobra. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I might be around somewhere having a beer on Saturday afternoon watching the game, so give us a shout out. I'll maybe be able to catch up with a few people. We'll see how we go.
Great stuff. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good night. Thank you very much. Good night.
Bye.